Let's stay with electricity matters now. Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse has called on communities to report damage to infrastructure, theft of manhole covers as well as traffic lights as well. And there's also been some issues of vandalization of critical infrastructure in several townships in the city of Johannesburg. Recently, we saw in Eldorado Park a substation was gutted by a fire, which left several places in the dark. Let's speak now to Councillor Michael Sun, who's the MMC for Environment and Infrastructure Services in the city of Johannesburg. Councillor Sun, thank you so much for your time. Let's begin with the latest on that substation in Eldorado Park.
The latest at the substation Eldorado Park is that our team are still on site. In fact, the acting CEO herself is leading the team to restore that repair. We spoke around about 11 o'clock last night, and this morning I received the latest update as in terms of the worst and the best case scenario. This afternoon, the team was able to brief me once again to say that we fortunately are looking at the best case scenario. We do looking to restore power in the Eldorado Park area by tomorrow. However, we are now being faced with another challenge, is that the residents in the area are now blocking the roads entering the substation, therefore causing the working trucks and the vehicles are not being allowed to go in or out. It is a difficult situation to handle. I mean, at the same time, we want to work on this as quickly as we can. But the residents are also not allowing us to do that. So it's a dilemma that we are asking the residents to understand that they must, please cooperate with us. So when the city power teams are going in and out to fetch materials, to fetch other supplies, they can get this Eldorado Park substation restored as quickly as possible. But the road blockages should continue. There will inevitably be another delay in the restoration.
And MMC, one of the things that we heard City Power say again this week is that it is concerned about the increase in vandalism and theft of infrastructure in and around Eldorado Park. But I wonder from your end, how widespread is this problem?
It's so wide that we are beginning to see that this is an unprecedented level of attack on our infrastructure. We now no longer talk about cable theft. We talk about cable robbery. And we had, 10 gunmen entering one of our substations to rob cables. I just spoke to my colleague MMC GCSS, Leah Knott. She tells me that in her area, they are stealing fuses out of many substations. So there's a high level of infrastructure damage. There's obviously a high level of theft for financial gains. The good thing is that on Tuesday, we were led by our executive, Mayor Mpho Phalatse. We had a very fruitful meeting with the provincial SABC Commissioner, Commissioner Mwela. There will be, intensified operations focusing on cable theft and all these, criminal elements and syndicates dealing with stolen metals in the city of Johannesburg.
Listening to what you're saying then about, this particular problem of cable theft, a few years ago, I remember the former mayor, Pakstow, saying that those who are stealing these cables should be charged with treason because they're slowing down the economy. I wonder if that should indeed happen, because you're saying it's at an unprecedented scale now.
Absolutely. I think that principle must be adopted. It is certainly not just in terms of the infrastructure loss or the damage that we have to pay as city power to replace and repair. But if you look at the loss on the economic scale, it's something that we can't begin to calculate. Businesses lose money, residents are inconvenienced. There are many, many other losses that are not being counted for. So it's not just sabotage in terms of the infrastructure suffered by the cities and other municipalities across the country, but I think it's an attack on the country's economy. I really want to make a call out there to our national prosecuting authorities to say that cable thieves and those syndicates and criminals damage infrastructure must be dealt with the harshest possible legal process. And, they must certainly seek for the harshest sentence to be imposed.
And talking about the mayor, today when she was delivering the State of the City address, she called on communities to report these acts. And we've seen communities in Pimville, for example, and in Eldorado Park also speaking out and fighting against cable theft, which has left several, places in their townships in the dark. How can the relationship between the city, the residents, as well as law enforcement agencies be improved in order to ensure that there's better cooperation here?
I must give my gratitude out there to the community members. In fact, we have many self-established private organizations from the neighborhoods, from the community to say that they had enough. They will now go patrol the street. I have spoken to my City Power colleagues that within the next 2 weeks, we'll be working on a program where we're not only going to give verbal support, but we actually want to give substantial support to the residents to say that when you go out there and patrol the streets and the neighborhood, ensuring the infrastructure is not being damaged or stolen, we want to do our part. So for example, we certainly want to look at providing torches, reflective vests to the community members. So when they go out there to patrol the street, at least they have some equipment. But I think, a way for us to improve this is that we need to work together. We need to communicate with the local CPFs, the law enforcement, the community patroller groups are very important. I think certainly that program that we want to implement and bring out there, we engage with the residents to say that we all need to do this together. We can only fight this crime of damaging to our electrical and water infrastructure by we holding hands with each other, ensuring that we are going out there in full force, and in solidarity as residents and government.
And as a final question, then you talk about the working together and the things that, the equipment that you say must be given to the CPFs in order to try and ensure that they are also kept safe. But I wonder, from your conversation with General Mawela, what is the plan to keep infrastructure safe? Because it's not only the work of communities, but also law enforcement authorities need to have a plan in place in order to ensure that infrastructure is kept safe.
Certainly. I think, from within the City of Johannesburg, the executive mayor has instructed that we look at all the security resources we have in terms of the City of Joburg. We're going to put that together to ensure that we have our own internal infrastructure protection unit set up very quickly. And of course, from the side of law enforcement, SABC, we are happy to hear what General Mawela and his team has committed. And one of the issues that we spoke about at length is the enforcement of the Second-Hand Goods Act, where the police must then go out and start to, compile a list of those having been issued with licenses to deal with second-hand goods. Then we'll start to look at where are these second-hand metal being sold to. And especially when we have this kind of cable theft, copper cable theft in the city, it certainly must end up somewhere. And we believe that by enforcing the Second-Hand Goods Act, throughout the scrapyard, the metal dealers and the second-hand goods dealers would be a very good start.
All right, Councillor, we'll continue to monitor this because it's really worrying at the scale at which we keep on hearing about, incidents of cable theft. But thank you so much. Let's leave it there for now. That was Councillor Michael Sun, MMC for Environment and Infrastructure Services in the City of